Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi. Hi everybody. This is going to be our second episode, and today I have brother Ariff here. And brother Ariff, to me, I had him on my Facebook for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And then we probably had a few squabbles on Facebook. I mean, that's the nature of Facebook, I guess. And it's always something that we passionate people do, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
You can put it that way, positive way, right?
Oh, negative people who are full of themselves.
Yeah, inshallah. I mean, that's true also. Hopefully Allah helps us to get it to the better point of view.
I mean.
And part of that things that we were talking about was also this thing that Sri Ariff will have like a lot experience in it. And I will probably have my share of experience in it which is the subculture society.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, when I look at subcultures today, I look at it in a perspective where there's so many variations.
Yeah.
You know, we have I even looked at like the gangs that we have today, like you know, like secret societies.
Yeah.
You know, this is my own perspective like secret societies, music oriented cultures, all of them in this one category of people who have their own expressions, different unique expressions. But what was unique was that they saw themselves out of the system in itself.
Yeah.
Right? They were uniquely out of the system. They couldn't fit. I wouldn't say they couldn't fit in that sense. They didn't want to fit in that sense. Would you agree to that?
I think this is something that you cannot fake. I think I've had many people think that I'm trying to be different. But when I reflect, it's not that I'm trying to be different. I just feel different lah. So I think over time you can see some people who maybe they were faking it lah. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Tapi I think for a lot of them, it's just the nature lah. It's innate lah.
It's this temperament that we have.
Yeah.
And I notice this because like when I see people from different people, you can see that they have a different quality. You know, it's something that is very unique to everybody. You know, like I have my own unique characteristics, you have your unique characteristics, and in our current society where we're in, how does this uniqueness manifest itself? There's so many expressions that we have. And I believe that all of these expressions are actually founded upon a desire for something more. You know, like these expressions, they just didn't have the avenue to manifest these characteristics that they have to a position where it could actually flower into something unique and beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
And I think this was what I would say this 21st century men have a problem with.
Yeah.
You know, that we don't have these avenues of expression that allows us to become this
To realize the
manliness. Our manliness, you know.
Yeah.
And this is also my reflection of being a father and stuff like that lah. And so that's why I wanted to invite you, because when I look at cultures in a sense, what I was so attracted with was that they in themselves they have they want to express themselves even though society do not look at them in a positive light, for example. And I feel like even though now, previously I would probably look at it like, oh, these guys are like, you know, like trying to be annoying, you know, or something like that. But when look at it now today, it's so difficult, you know, that ability to have the courage to come out of that yourself and unique and to show that you are true to yourself in a sense. And I see this in a lot of like I met like some old timer gangsters, you know, and stuff like that. And you see what quality that they all have that those other people don't have, is that they were true to themselves as much as they could be. Of course, we can discuss on the debate on the possibility what is good manifestation and not bad or bad manifestation. But the fact that they do show that they are different, that they are not afraid to show they're different, is a very positive quality lah in my set. Now looking at it now, and I feel that everybody should find it in themselves to manifest that quality of themselves and not be afraid of what society thinks and what people around you think, because if you don't do that, you will be unhappy. What do you think about it?
I think I think there's two sides to this. I mean, the age that we're living in is so unique. I mean, the world has never been this globalized before, and we've never had this many choices. You know, I think like 100 or 200 years ago, if your dad was a farmer, you'd probably be a farmer. Nowadays, you know, you get to choose lah. What you wanna be a punk, you wanna be a skinhead, you wanna be a whatever it is lah. So I think the uniqueness is quite synthetic in a sense, but because people choose to walk these paths, they realize another thing about today is that what you're talking about, this normalcy, I think is this template of the average Joe lah, the normal guy in this capitalistic society, that many of us don't feel at home with. So it's two-sided lah. One of it is a discomfort with that. Another one is, I think, another thing that irritates me today is everybody's trying to show their eye. Everybody's trying to show how different that they can be. So yeah, like it's two-sided lah. Some of them are sincere about it. Some people just want to stand out lah. So yeah.
And it's individualism that they find so necessary to show. And I think it's also part of this whole narcissistic society also. I think when we were growing up, you're 89 and I'm 90. When you're growing up, we were not so exposed to there was no social media. You know, like if you wanted to meet your friends, you know, you later have to like call them, okay, I'm gonna meet you there. And you wait there until they come. You know, we had no form of interaction. There was no posting on videos online and stuff like that. So the idea of being narcissist at that time is quite not as expensive as today lah. Would you agree to that? Like today, you every single moment they have to take a photo, they would have to take a photo, you know. And I think, and to prove that they are somewhere or with somebody, you know, this kind of idea. But I don't think when you were growing up, it was that hardcore.
Yeah, it was very different, and especially like when I started out in the scene, the idea of the group was a lot stronger than it is today. I think when I still go down and things like that, the idea of the individual now is very much emphasized. Like when I first came to the scene, it wasn't what I expected it to be. I mean, before I came down, I read some books about punk in New York and things like that.
One of this was very interesting. I always remember when I was going for gigs and stuff like that, there was always this emphasis on knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. You know, like when I reflect on now, like you have to know your stuff. You have to know your stuff, and it's so connected to the. And then when I read it, it's like I get what you're talking about. You know, like you have to know why you're there. But I mean, I was like probably like 12 or 15, 13, 14 years old. You know, like. Of course, we don't. For me at that time, I didn't really understand all that stuff, you know. But yeah, but this idea of knowledge was so interesting. Like.
Yeah, it's very important in any culture that you wanted to embark on. But yeah, it was not what I expected it to be, because what I was reading about, it was a very artsy perspective that I was reading about. When I came in at that point in time, it was very, very strict. I think it was. You could say it had this gang kind of culture towards it. Like, not anybody can come in. You have to go through certain rights lah. You got your ragging in order to be part of that one. And then there's always other groups that are trying to come and find trouble with you. So at that point in time, it was not what I expected, but I tried to fit in lah. And you know, it changed me and it taught me a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned otherwise lah. Whereas nowadays, you know, there is this emphasis on, you know, this is me. People are not really trying to. I think like the sense of brotherhood and things like that is slowly fading away lah with people today. And I think when it comes to punk especially, that kind of is what punk is about lah. But it wasn't what I was exposed to at first, and I prefer it the way I was exposed to at first.
What do you think like punk represent, like for you at that time? Like
at that time, it was to me, to be a punk at that point in time, you had to have some kind of rage. You had to be angry at something. So at that point in time, I was 13 years old, and I really did not like the system lah. Like, you know, we're talking just now. I had moved from Malaysia to Singapore, and then I came to a public school here, and I really felt like a fish out of water, man. The regimentation was not for me. So I was very angry in personally lah. And then when I came across punk, and what drew me to punk was the lyrics. It was at that point in time, to me, I found that to be quite intellectual, and it related to the big picture of life lah. You know, nothing spiritual, nothing really deep, but it was related to politics lah, mainly at that point in time.
Like anarchy, would you say that?
Punk revolves around anarchy.
Yeah.
And anarchy is so hard to define.
Yeah. What's your definition of anarchy? Like right now, like if someone would tell you like I would say like a 21st century 15-year-old kid who wants to, you know, loves the idea of what this all about, what would you say? How would you define it to be?
I think I don't really identify with anarchy anymore, but anarchy has always been to me, you know, I always remember my whole life since I first watched Braveheart, I've been trying to define freedom. So anarchy seemed to me the closest belief towards a pure freedom. And my journey back to religion also revolves around this idea of freedom as well.
Yeah.
So anarchy, I would say is
full expression of yourself.
Yeah, it's pure freedom lah, without giving a hoot to anybody else lah.
Yeah.
Which is not actually expressed properly in the punk scene also lah.
Yeah.
You have your templates to
follow,
yeah,
and to abide by.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. While I was like going back, you know, because I was gonna do this thing with you, I was just like looking back at all, trying to do some reading and to understand a bit more on the things that I probably should have read up also before. So,
Yeah, it's okay.
it's okay. No, I love it, you know, because I realized like all of these things that we do go to, somewhat attracted by, there was a tinge of truth in it.
Yeah.
There is true. I mean, every human
Everything.
expression, there is a tinge of truth in it.
Yeah.
And to discover why they wanted to do it was something very interesting lah. And then it came across like, and then and I was doing that. I remember while I was reading about that, I remember the readings I did about Ernst Jünger. I've heard of Ernst Jünger. So Ernst Jünger, he had this concept. He called it the Anak. So instead of anarchy, he called him the Anak. He said the Anak is not anarchy. The Anak is free. He is free of his age. You know, he understands the laws of his times and the condition, but he's free.
Sounds like a Sufi.
Yeah, it's so interesting, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a German, he was a German soldier. And then he wrote few books. He wrote one of the very interesting books that I loved. He wrote was called The Forest Journey.
The Forest Journey.
Yeah, The Forest Journey is called Waggang. So the story was about this group of people. Basically, they were from a society, a group of people. They were living in a society, like a city. And then these
fictional
people,
lah.
it's fictional. Yeah, but it happened. It happened in, I think, I forgot exactly where, but I think the Nordic societies. So what they did was, these people, when they were exiled, or they did something wrong, or they were different or something like that, they were exiled into the forest.
Okay.
So this group of people, when they were exiled into the forest, they were bare naked. They were stripped naked, and it's cold. Like it's super cold. And in the forest, there's the bears. There's all of these predators and stuff like that. And so these guys, when they entered to the forest, they had to survive, and they were given a day or two, if I'm not wrong, to make sure that the next time these people from the cities go into the forest, they don't see them there. Because if they see them there, you're dead.
Okay.
They will kill you. They have all the right to kill you. So this forest journey, this Waggang, they have to enter into the forest, find clothing, find protection from the cold, the climate, the animals, and find security in that environment which was out there to kill you. You know, and these people, they survive.
I see.
Right? They survive. And this guy, he calls them the Anak. And what is interesting, that these people, these Anaks, will find other Anaks in there.
Oh really?
In the
from,
forest.
From different societies or
From the same place.
Okay.
So these people who survive, they survive that the from the bears and stuff like that. They survive, and then they end up finding there's another city in the forest outside of that city, and then I realized is that that is something that whether we like it or not, whether we realize it or not, like this is something that we all desire. To be free, to be free, and when you think about it, there's so many things that we are not free from, and that is something which,
and that's a very deep question to
it's
get
very,
into.
it's a very difficult to what to discover what are we free from, and that's a journey by itself. But the journeys that you took, for example, like why I wanted to talk was this. I feel like it's such an important journey because you had an enframing, you had a picture of life, you had a perspective of life that you grew into, young age, I mean like 13, 14, and being in the scene probably like what 5-10 years, like seriously in there.
Yeah,
right.
Around 5 lah. Before I started NS and all, NS breaks everybody lah.
For sure. Right. And having that and build up a perspective of life and what you believed in and what your people around you, the so-called peer pressure, the involvement, all these kind of things, and the images that the people who looked at you, and this is Ariff, Ariff is this guy, it is punk, and I cannot see anything other than that. And we also have this fear lah of what people think of us, right?
Yes.
In that way also. And having that and framing, and then slowly you grew out of it. I wouldn't say you grew out of it. You grew, not out of it. I wouldn't say out of it. You grew, but there were remnants. There's for sure remnants of it. And how does this? How do you make sense of these remnants? How do you make sense of the entire experience of what you had before?
It's divine decree. This is happening. I remember the first time, macam I heard heavy music, and it just appealed to me. Macam. And taste in music is something also you cannot fake. I believe it's something to do with macam frequencies or something like that. Not everybody can attune to this kind of heavy music lah. And if you do, you probably have some sort of darkness with you, maybe. But yeah, like it's part of your character. So how I make sense of it is that this is the way God created me lah. I think when I first heard it, I wasn't an angry boy. Maybe it turned me into an angry boy, possibly, but it struck a chord with me lah. So it's I think it's a natural thing lah. So yeah.
Now you're 31.
30.
30.
31 this year.
This year 31 this year. I know I'm 30. So already. So you're 31 this year. And given like all of the experience that you had, and being who you are back then, I think especially when you grew up, and then we grew up, and then we realized that the ideas that we had previously in our younger times, it does not make sense anymore in living in this world now, like when you have kids and stuff like that, and how do you have a wife, you have children, like so-called the responsibilities of our age,
our progression,
responsibility grows on us, right? And for me, like personally, like one of the biggest striking things was like for me, one thing I realized for myself is that I put my feet into everything. And I wanted to feel and to be and to put myself in every situation so I could understand everything much more. That's how I understood myself now. I was part of the geek culture, the punk. I was with some of the skinheads. Then I went into the hardcore scene. I had a band on there, and I was there. It was quite some time. It was so fun, and so people were carrying you up and stuff. Like, it was so fun,
What an experience!
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, And but what was said, like right now, I'll tell you. So I look back at my photo. I don't have any more photos from there. And this is the reason why which I'm going to get to. And then. After all the experience, and then later on, somehow or another, I realized that where I was couldn't sustain me at all. I couldn't sustain this lifestyle no more. And there was a break, there was the first like this like shock into the real world that you live in, And then that's where I somewhat found Islam again. You know,
I
like
see.
I would consider myself like honestly, in like I was clueless about the deen. I had Muslim parents and stuff like that, but not in a way that I could really like say I was a
Grasp,
true Muslim lah, right? So there's found religion and stuff like that. And then what happened to me was like I had a total change. You know, I really changed. Like automatically, like my cousins will be a proof of this. You know, like my family members will be a proof because they always remember to be this one kind of character or person.
Yeah.
And then later on, suddenly after I found the deen and stuff like that, I chose when like auto like 100% change, 180%, you know, 360 degrees lah, whatever you want to call it, change. And after a while, it took some time. It wasn't like maybe 6 months or like that. It took like almost like 3-4 years into it. That suddenly internally there was a struggle. Like, how come I don't feel happy? You know, I thought this was better. You know, I thought this. I mean, of course, responsibility wise, you make sense. You can do your the activities, but inside of you, there was this shattering inside. People can say,
harmony,
this harmony. And alhamdulillah, like as time goes by, you know, you make that realization lah. I found that thing, and I want to ask you, what is it for you? How did?
I think my journey in retrospect was very very natural lah. When I was young, I think up till about 16 years old, I was like at City Hall every other day lah, you know, with the boys lah. And I remember what changed me was, okay, when I was about around there, I knew that I would want to end up probably getting married and things like that. So I realized that, you know, I have to find a way to make money lah, and I still did not want to be a normal working guy. And so one of the things that changed my life was the movie Young and Dangerous. Because it was a punk punya chalet, and then this friend of ours brought the VCDs and we were watching it. And I was like, oh, you can make money and macam not be a normal dude lah. So I began a journey somewhere along those lines lah, and I was trying very hard to make money in
Unconventionally lah.
Unconventional manner. So that led me on a very very interesting and very intense journey for a while. But it was also through this journey because when I took that path, I being from the punk scene, I think everybody's got a very Western punya mindset. And then taking this other path, while still playing in a band and things like that, exposed me a lot to, you know, the Melayu punya culture lah, and it's not just the Melayu punya culture. This a lot of them are the Malays who are really down and out lah, who come from, I mean, their families are in bad shapes and all that kind of thing. So, but it was also through them that I got this reopening towards religion, because, you know, as jahat or whatever as you might call them, all of them still identify with being Muslim. And especially the older generation, a lot of them had pretty good religious background, like somebody important in my life in that journey. He spent many years macam just travelling through Indonesia, learning Islam and martial arts. And he's a very very important figure to me, and he used to drop hints here and there lah about I guess you could call it hakikah lah, which would strike me lah now and then, because I mean my parents are religious. I mean my parents are religious, but they did not dive deep into anything lah. They just
The knowledge part lah, is it?
So I wasn't exposed to all these things. So in retrospect, like I said, my journey I think was very very natural. Like I came to a realization where I needed money, and then I ended up in this very unconventional punya way of life, which was pretty scary at times. And then it was through that and then certain events in my life that the passing of my best friend that made me rethink everything and rediscover Islam lah. What got me was I was in DB for a while, detention barracks, and my auntie she passed a book to me lah, which was Even Angels Ask. I forget the name of the author, but it was about a mathematician who became Muslim lah. Because now that I mention this, I remember questioning God from a really young age lah, from before my teens. And I think by the time I was 14 already, I identified myself as agnostic. And I believe that there was a creator, but I did not think that the creator described to me was the one that I would worship lah. And if that was the one, I refused to submit lah.
Yeah.
But even at that point in time, even the punks and the skins and all, they were still quite wary about calling yourself atheist or agnostic. It's not like now. Now it's prevalent. So I can recall macam this, I was like 15 years old and in a very bad state. But then, I mean, we were all in a bad state lah. But there was this older guy who was just telling me like, Ariff, you cannot call yourself that. You came from Allah and you will return to Him. And I mean, I just took it in lah. But that was that memory always strikes me, and I thank that guy from time to time. I'm still in touch. But things have changed a lot lah. Now, yeah.
That is so amazing. I mean, like, and I totally agree with you. Like, even though like I for me personally, like, I didn't had like those kind of like environment with me around me, but the lifestyle was totally westernized. I would 100% agree with you. Like, the people around me, coming from the social background that I come from, the people that are around me, my friends, St. Patrick's.
Oh, you're from St. Pat's.
St. Pat's, all those things. So that had played quite influence on me, And my Christian friends, they were like Christians, they went to church, but it's like us lah, like
boundaries are very grey.
Yeah, and then we identify as certain people like Muslim, Christian, Catholics and stuff like that, but it was just the husk, So even for me, like growing up, like I never like felt as though like I was really Muslim in that sense. Yeah, I like pray, how to pray, you have to go Jummah once in a while also never go, like didn't find a meaning towards it, and then like you had that person around you all the time, like one person around you to just remind you of God,
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, like it's so similar in that sense, like and then I remember one ayah and like when Surah Yasin, Allah says about about the people who, the person from the further city say, come follow the messengers, there's this one man, he didn't say who that man was.
The word Rijal was used on him.
It's the man from the further city, to call the people to come follow the messengers, right? There's always that kind of people around you, and it's just to have that attraction back, just to keep you in check. Like for me, even though I was, no matter how rabak I was or how bad I was doing whatever the hell I did, I knew at one point in my life I had to like relax. No matter like maybe your expression of that was marriage and stuff like that. Like for me it was like probably like also like get married lah. This and also if you think about it, that's also like a socially.
Yeah, it's the pressure also lah from society.
Yeah, like that is especially you're growing up lah, in that sense. But I think that was one of the most important things of being that our society had at that time. The idea of getting married, having a wife, even for the woman also, which I think today that question of family,
the institution
of family, I think it's moving to breaking down. And then that's one of the things I believe that why there's so many like divorce rates. Like people don't feel happy anymore. Like they get married 1-2 years and then they're like, I had discussed with my cousins actually. One of my cousins, they just got married like last month around there. And then we always like talk and stuff like that, And then he came out to me and I said to her, like husband and wife, I said like one of the things that I realized why right now I just realized that when our women get married today and they have children, they break down. And then because they it's not because they do not have the capacity to be mothers. It's not that at all. And another reason is because they see their mothers and they see their grandmothers and they see like this high standard that they have to fit in, but their whole growing up was not that. And I realized they were not prepared. Like they were not taught to be mothers. Instead, in the schooling education system that we have, they were taught to be men. And they were side by side with men, you know, and so naturally they don't like think I want to be man. They don't. They are like a woman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from a young age, like they were not prepared to be woman.
Yeah.
You know, so when the womanhood does come,
Yeah.
and the demand,
Shocks them.
it shocks the shit out of them. You know.
Apa ni, my boss once asked me after my daughter, I received my daughter, and a while later like, he asked me, what do you want your daughter to be when she grows up? So my response was a wife and a mother. It's like, huh? And he asked what I meant by that. So I responded. I said, I think it's hard. Most women do not know, or do not take the path of motherhood and wifehood as seriously as they did the past lah. But when it comes to raising a child, you know, there's that saying where it takes a tribe to raise a child.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much lost.
Yeah.
We're in an age where the individual, the nafs is so strong.
Yeah.
And you can see lah, macam I would relate it to the Dajjal lah, the preparation of this Dajjalic system where they break down the nations and then they break down the tribes and then now they're breaking down the families. So everybody's the lone sheep lah. You know, like the song that you listen, the one that I wrote. It's about that lah. It's about how everybody's macam just so emphasized on the individual, and that's why marriages break down. Marriages break down because apa ni, a teacher of mine, he always, before I got married, he used to tell us that getting married is like the physical it's the physical manifestation of the destruction of your nafs, because two nafs are becoming one and they have to work together. But you know, when the ego has been hardened and become so strong, it's hard to and people of the past, when we look at our mothers and our grandmothers, the standards are high, but the challenges that women have to go through now with this I think I would call it extremist feminism. Because feminism is important, and it was very important when it arose, but I think sometimes it gets taken to an extreme nowadays. So they have this modern punya standard that they have to, you know, they feel like they're being oppressed, and many times they are lah. But then and then they see their mothers and their grandmothers, and sometimes they look at their mothers and grandmothers as people who are oppressed as well.
Yep.
So they do not want to end up like that.
Yeah.
It's I think it's such a hard time for women.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Men also lah, but especially women.
Yeah. I think for men, one of the things is interesting for me, like men, I feel men also lost their manliness in a sense. You know, because like, you know, I was thinking about it. Like when the woman looks at the man today, let's put it like maybe like 2 generations back, like 3 generations back, you know, like the woman will look at the man and they say, yeah, I can't carry those kind of stuff. I definitely cannot do the hard work that he goes in, you know, the hard labourer's job, to hunt in the jungle and stuff like that, you know, to carry all these very laborious jobs, you know. And the woman who naturally physically who is not as strong as the man, they will naturally do like less laborious job, you know. And in that kind of society, the physical manifestation of necessity for each other, the need for each other is very clear.
Yeah.
And when the need of each other is very clear, it manifests itself into I need this person, you know, this person need me. It's intermingled, you know, it's very connected. But as we go into this globalized society and we like so-called lose this need of labourers' jobs, and then slowly and surely, like the woman looks at the man and go like,
I don't really need him.
yeah, I don't need this guy. Like, I can do the same thing as he does. I can go to work, I come back from work, you know, I get the same money probably as you. So the logical reasoning of why you're even here is less present. And so the man in this age, I believe that inside of him he realized that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, it doesn't manifest out, but internally that because there's unhappiness, they will tend to go for hobbies, a lot of hobbies, you know, like to fill up their time, to fill up their distractions.
Desires,
you know, to just distract themselves, to make themselves, you know, do things that they cannot do. And this is hobbies, you know, for me. And then, but they will always be unhappy because they haven't found this, and like men, like haven't found this thing to prove to their partners their value as a man. You know, what is so strong about this man? What is not strong? I won't say strong. What is so manly about this man? You know, and I think in our time, I was telling my cousins, like, I think the definition of the manifestation of what is a man needs to be redefined. You know, and I believe like one of this one thing is also like homosexuality is a lot connected about this also in my perspective lah, because there's so vague the difference between definition about what man and woman is, and the manifestation of what a man and a woman is so vague that why should I be this or why should I be that? I have the choice. There's no difference, there's no difference. And it's real. If you look at it in a materialistic way, they make no difference at all. Other than the fact that we don't have a womb and they have a womb. We have other private parts, they have other private parts. It's just that. But it's very superficial.
Yeah.
But if you talk about like really inherently inside their being, manifestation, there isn't any. So I think that there is need of this discovering, and I honestly believe, like, people who are part of societies or part of the subcultures or whatever secret society, they have an easier route in realizing this manliness.
Yeah, I think in cities the only place to explore this to get into misadventures is on the streets lah. So no matter what you identify yourself with, you have to be out there, and then opportunities present itself lah. Like courage has always been a very very important concept to me lah. And it's also another one of the reasons how I ended up back to Islam, because I saw the same person that I mentioned earlier. I once saw him. Somebody took a parang and wanted to get him, and he was so cool. He just took the chair and he just smashed it. The parang smashed into pieces. It seemed magical lah. But when you think that is die-cast metal, it could have been done. But he was so cool. He was just pop. He just smacked the thing. It shattered, and the guy was chased away lah. And when I saw that, that was, he had no fear when the thing came out, and it made me question a lot how to get into that state where you have no fear. And what I realized was that if you don't fear death, that's when you be fearless. That's but to not fear death, you gotta fear God lah. So I like two of my best friends. They're sitting in for a very long time. One is looking at 12 years, one is looking at 8 years. And I can't help but feel that the system fears the courageous person. They do commit crimes and all that kind of thing. But when you really think about why they do all these kind of things, it's because the law doesn't allow them to manifest themselves in an honest way lah.
Yeah, it's part of this capitalist society anyway.
Yeah.
Like Pink Floyd said, another brick on the wall.
Yeah. If you're not part of the brick, into the
teacher, leave those kids alone. Like say, leave those kids alone. And I think that is something so true. Like this ability to express themselves. It's so important, that we don't have like proper avenues to express ourselves, and that's why like people find. I was just reading Dostoevsky's book. Have you read it before?
Never.
Crime and Punishment.
No.
Yeah, you should read the book. It's quite. Actually, I listened to it on an audiobook instead. So it was basically about this guy. They had this discussion about crime and how this man, he actually did so much crime, and
crime itself being the punishment.
Crime itself being the punishment itself, like because there is this struggle within himself, the guilt, and I would say like regret lah. I would say regret. I have this problem with guilt. Inshallah we'll get to that lah, but regret, and they've always trying to find something new, or should I try more extreme ways to do it, to quench that thirst inside of them. Which also brings me back to one thing, like manliness. Like this idea of manliness, which is like an expression of what a man is. That's why I came to this position where like martial arts is so important.
Yes.
And for me, like Khabib Nurmagomedov is such an interesting figure.
Yeah.
What a man. Like he is like he can literally kill you like if you want to. That man can kill you. Just give him 2 minutes.
You and your friends also.
You and your friends. All of you guys. Just flick of a button, you guys are down, And he has the capacity, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he is such a humble person, even with all their wealth and all that kind of things. And I think he is this character of a person where he manifests that he doesn't speak well, probably because of the language barrier. But he doesn't have this. He doesn't talk like philosophical ideas and stuff like that. but you can see that his belief is inside of him, you know, and it manifests
manifesting.
beautifully. And there's another guy, Firaz Zahabi.
Oh man,
Yeah.
my dream coach.
Yeah, it's so amazing, you know. And you see that another character of another man who is super intellectual,
Yeah,
and he knows his stuff,
yeah,
and yet he's so down to earth, and they are all, and what revolves around this idea of martial arts, and I believe that every man in this time lah, like every man should know martial arts.
yeah.
And
It's like the last avenue you have lah to. I mean, martial arts, you know, it teaches you about your body, and that's something like so many of us are not aware of. And yeah, if you don't have something like that, you just, a big part of you is unrealized lah.
Yeah.
Even I think if you dance also,
Yeah.
macam at least you're getting to know your body, but I wouldn't recommend dancing lah.
But martial art is something else. Like, I remember, like even my first jiu-jitsu class. Of course, I watched a lot of videos first before I went, you know, because I was watching Gracie lah, this and all that, watching all that. So I went for my first class. It was such a humbling experience.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I realized that today, like previously, like I would probably like just fight everybody. But today, if I do feel I want to like fight with somebody, I like think this guy look like
What
he
does he
knows.
know?
Yeah, what does he know that I do not know? You know? And it's so scary. You know, it's like the idea of the unknown. And then you just check yourself whether I need to do this or not. You know? And I think that what martial art does, instead of giving the opposite, where people have this impression where martial art actually aggravates violence and stuff like that. I think in a proper setting, the expression will be quite good, you know. And I remember I was listening to one of Firaz Zahabi's sessions with, I think, Joe Rogan, if I'm not wrong, where he speaks about this, where he said like one of the parents who sends the kid to the gym, his gym, the parents said to him like, my son is like an angel with you. He's an angel with you. And he said, how come? And he said, because if it's not, he'll be taught a lesson. It's so interesting.
Yeah. We do need these lessons.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is something that we all should have, you know, like
Yeah.
this, and I think like these subcultures teach us a version of that. Would you agree to that?
Teach us a version of.
Like this to like that we have to humble ourselves down with other people around us. Would you say that in your experience of it?
Not really, actually. Especially, okay, like when I mentioned I took that other path, I began to realize that especially that path is all about, it revolves around face. It revolves around yourself lah. You cannot allow somebody to speak ill of you. You cannot allow somebody to even look at you the wrong way. So I don't think it's actually humbling. In fact, it is the opposite lah. But when it comes to subcultures, maybe every subculture has very very different punya ethics and morals lah. So like, I think maybe in the scene, this whole idea of uniformity and brotherhood, which is very strong there. I mean, they all like to wear the same kind of brands and that kind of thing. So there is this numbing down of individuality, which could humble you down, and you only maybe you feel strong as yourself, but you only feel complete when you with
other people around you.
And I think the first definition that I read of punk was the guy in prison who give head for a cigarette. So it's somebody who has no self-worth lah. He just wants to get
what he wants.
Yeah. So
What attracted you to that?
that did not really attract me, but it gave me a definition lah. It gave me a clear definition lah. So the
what is it?
Shouldn't be a proud person lah. Have you heard of the Malamatia?
Yeah.
When in retrospect, to me, the punk is very Malamatia. Apa ni? And
Non-conformist
and wants to just
eradicate yourself.
doesn't want to look good lah. Doesn't want to look good, despite. I think there's a lot of actually very positive values that come with punk, especially. I mean, you got all these people who are vegan lah, and then hardcore scene you got the straight edge guys, but they do not want to look like the good people. So I think when it comes to humbling down in the punk scene, that should be the case. Even in the skinheads, yes. But then I think in when it comes to the gang culture, that's not it at all. And the gang culture, your god becomes the number that you follow. And yeah lah, your face is what matters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you put it in that way, that makes sense.
But everybody has everybody, some people are meant to be the frontline warriors. Some people are meant to be the soldiers. Some people are meant to be the ones who think and So everybody has a sense of who they are, and then you find the feathers where you flock with, like so to speak.
Yeah.
Because what else can you do in this in this modern society, so constricted.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like which that I was telling you about the Ernst Jünger, right? He says then after telling you all this whole story, he goes say that the forest is in your heart.
Wow.
This is so amazing.
It is.
And we also have to look at his society, like when it's an important part lah. Where
World War II era, is it?
World War II era. He was a war hero. He was a war hero World War I, if I'm not wrong.
I see.
Yeah, World War I. And so like even though he was against Hitler in a sense philosophically, but Hitler respected him because of who he was as a man, and so he left him be in his writing and stuff like that lah. So that this idea of freedom is something that I believe that Islam gives to people. And if you find it in the right way, if you and then it's not something that your parents teach you. Because for me, like when I realized, this is one of the biggest thing I realized, and it's something that I want to try to teach my children, of course, is that the Islam that you inherit is not the Islam that sets you free, in a sense. Even though you might have great parents and stuff like that, but it will not be totally in sync with you if you don't find your own color to it. And there's a bit of struggle inside of it, which I why I love about speaking to people who go to changes in their life is because there was this inward struggle. It's not like suddenly one day I got like this become this person and change like this person. No, it was
you have a calling that you feel inside and you listen to and then you argue with.
And
you
it's
go
so
through the
hard.
forest.
It's so difficult. And how many times that we actually just give up. This is too difficult, man. It's too hard. And I remember National Day. And this internal struggle that we go through, we receive the deen. We receive a perspective of life lah. Especially like, in that sense, religion, what we have come to Islam from various sources, and we receive from many different peoples, and we get the bits and pieces of it, and even from our teachers also, But we'll never be truly realized until like we make it our own, make it our own, and this is something which I think is so important, it's so important, and that's why I want to speak with you about it, because I want to speak to you because it's visible, like you went through that situation, you went through being young, being your circumstances, you were put in different situations that you had no control of. And then you became who you are, and then you
becoming who I am.
And now becoming to who you becoming to who you are, becoming to, inshallah, to be a person worthy of this world and the next. And that struggle doesn't end, it doesn't end, and I feel like it's so important. What would you say to like, and I think this is people share this, everyone faces this in their own color or another. Like maybe yours was in this culture reality. Some people might not be so strong in that sense, not that color or expression. But I'm sure like everyone feels it in a certain way or another.
Yeah.
You know, and what would you say to people like that? You know.
I think when you talk about this, what comes to mind is the concept of tahqiqi iman, experiential iman. Because I mean there is the taklid, the religion, the taklid punya aspect where we are taught lah from our teachers and all that kind of thing. But until you are able to actually, how you use the word colour, until you are actually able to manifest it in the unique position that God has placed you in, I think only then do you experience, there is no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger, and the message is still, you're still bearing witness to the message. Yeah. So I think we always have to go back and reflect on our position and if you're a Muslim, just don't forget that the one who has placed you there is God. And like you said, I didn't have control over a lot of where I was and things like that. So I don't think you have to try and manifest it. I think you just be lah, or you let be lah. So, yeah. But it's important to remember lah. I think that's why there's so much emphasis on remembrance in our deen, because the world can just make you forget lah. They always talk about wealth and children, but it's not just wealth and children lah. It's everything. It's your passion. It's one of the things that I've been thinking about is that a person very dear of mine, he once asked me, when I was talking to him about religion, he asked me, do you think everybody needs a religion? So I responded to him, I said, I think everybody has a religion, whether they realize it or not. So I think you can have like a Malay Muslim who's actually more Malay than Muslim. His religion, maybe the culture. So so you always have to it's all about bearing witness, so you always have to go back, I think, to and realign yourself lah to witnessing God and the message.
And I think also one thing that, since you said like everyone has a religion, the question is so important also in our time. The concept of atheism in a sense, this agnostic atheism.
Yeah.
And for me, like personally, I've being in a Catholic society, growing up in a Catholic school, maybe for 11 years of my life, and I was with Christians basically almost half of my teenage years, more than half of my teenage years. And seeing the experience I experienced, like they were Christians but not really Christian, and I was Muslim, not really Muslim, And of course, and because of that, like the idea of God and stuff like that was like so like superficial.
Yeah.
And the result of that, what we have today is these people who do not believe in God, and they somewhat like they feel like intellectual.
Yeah.
They feel like they are intellectually smart. But I that's one of it, and also another because they have become discontented with this idea of God. Like what is this God all about? Why should I need him? I don't need him around, all these kind of things, And and because of the concept of religion, I don't like to use the word religion, because like religion is this idea of it comes from the Latin word religio, to bind people together, right?
Conformity.
And it's and because of course about historical situations that we face, the development over time, about the changing of power, historical reasons that the religion of Islam we have today is like that.
Yeah.
But I would not say it is the spirit of what it meant. What the deen is the religion is supposed to be is not like this. It's not just this. It's not an Arabic garb. It's not this long beard. It's not this, and it's definitely not the ISIS that we see. Today that manifesting out there. It's radicalism, and also the idea of radicalism is so prevalent in every society. Like they have like Shamsa Yusof was saying about, they have like who can eat the most food. And this is real. Like, everyone is a fanatic in that sense, But and then we have fanatic like feminism,
Yeah.
a fanatic atheism, you know, and the idea of not being fanatical, you know, to just sit down and like
Realign yourself to the
realign
middle.
to the middle. And that is, and when you realize that you're the middle, you find that you know, this entire world is so beautiful. And then even it comes out with so many troubles, you know, it
Yeah.
comes with so many difficulties, so many problems that the whole society face. But what we get out of that by being able to challenge ourselves and to look at our surroundings and to be at peace with ourselves and to find and the God that we are speaking about is not this God where he punishes you. It's not this God that he challenges you. It's not that kind of God. And whatever I remember we were saying, this one man, he was saying like an atheist came up to him and said like, I don't believe in your God. I don't believe in God. And he said, really? He said, well, tell me about this God that you don't believe in. And then this one went online, he was saying about this God, they like this. He said, oh, I also don't believe in the God that you don't believe in. You know?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And then this is something that I feel is so important for us to also to share to people, that you can the only avenue for you to find true satisfaction in this world is to realize that you are nothing.
Yeah.
And you are part, and what you have in this world is to be at peace with this reality, you know.
Yeah.
And how you,
I think apa ni,
in your perspective,
when you say that we are nothing, I think the only time you can have a sense of true existence is when you are in a state of unity. So sorry, what were we talking about?
about being at peace with yourself, going this internal struggle, and then we have this trouble about atheism in our times, and how we and given the current context of what we had, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Nowadays I think the emphasis on the individual it gives a false sense of reality lah. Makes you, I mean, you to realize you're nothing is a big realization, because the I is so strong and prevalent now. And
why should we say nothing? You know, why should we even say I'm nothing? Like
what say we are everything also, you know. I think instead of, you know, I'm nothing, we say we are all there is in creation lah, at least. Apa ni, being at peace. I don't know why you know, my head is going to adab and how macam like how you're talking about just now. True satisfaction comes in realizing the place that you were made to be in, and you know, the place where you are, you know, no man is an island. Nothing stands on its own. Nothing is suspended. We're all connected. So I think the modern day punya the common way of thought is actually very, very depressing. And that's why, you know, like 100 years ago we had the Great Depression, which was a financial punya meltdown. But I've always felt that what we are going through is a greater depression. From the exact opposite of that is the high state of materialism, because, you know, everybody wants to say they exist. Everybody wants to stand on their own, but you know, you're so weak and you're so macam meaningless on your own. You don't even
so scary,
so when you're not in that state of peace and unity, you're in a state of chaos. You are, I always feel like you want to be a god. So yeah.
You want to make your own destiny, in a sense, you know.
Yeah.
And when destiny arrives at you, you are in conflict with it, you know.
Yeah.
And we were just speaking about destiny.
Okay.
Can you just imagine like we were just speaking just now about Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and the story about how he was told by Allah to sacrifice his son. And that, and how I've understood it is this, is that the reality of him putting the knife on his son's throat is determined. There's nothing you can change about it. And for him individually, how he arrived at that situation was the one that was going to change. That how did he feel along the way?
Yeah.
And he was not like, okay, you have to go sacrifice son, change scene straight away there. It was a whole process.
Yeah.
He had to speak to his son, and after speaking to his son said okay. And you know what kind of son was that? You know, that's another topic altogether. But and then they had to go up the mountain.
Yeah.
And there was this song by Mati Shahu. I don't know if you heard of him before. There's this Jewish guy. So he wrote a song called Akida. Yeah. And he said, teach me to love. So the story was about Nabi Ibrahim As-salam going up the mountain for 3 long days and 3 long nights with a dagger in his cloak. And what was that? You know, when I heard that song, the first thing went to me was that, what was that? You know, what did he feel? And what did he feel in that moment of going up that mountain? In his mind, and the conclusion of this is, I have to sacrifice my son. Right? What was going through his heart? You know, like, imagine the conflict.
Yeah.
Every moment, you know, if it was me, I'll be dead, I think. Not in the physical sense, but I'll be just clueless and like dead lah, you know.
Yeah.
But he was in total submission all the time. And then when you put it into ourselves, you know, like, what are you ready for? You know, it's another thing altogether. But he arrived there at that point, and Allah said, you submitted.
Yeah.
But he could also go into this situation where he was burning inside. You know, he was like angry. How could you do this to me? I did this all for you, God. You know, Allah, I did this all for you. I did this. I left my home. I did all of these things. And you did this to me now. You asked me this to do it now. And I was picturing in my head what it would be. It's as though, imagine the situation like, a person was on like a tight physically on his body could move. It was a robot thing holding on him. He had to travel up the mountain, and the physical motion of the robot is determined. But you were struggling on that robot, like, no, stop, don't do this, you know. But he didn't. You know. And that state of heart is something unimaginable. Like, no, you cannot put it to words, man.
That's freedom.
That's freedom.
Freedom in recognition of your slavehood. Because I mean, like we mentioned just now, I mean, I found the definition of freedom in Surah Yasin, which is kun fayakun. You know, whatever he wills, it be.
Yeah.
And that's freedom lah. What else can be freedom? That's so you know that everything except God is not free lah. So the freedom comes in recognition of our slavehood lah.
Yeah. And for us individuals, like, even though we are unique, and yet we are one, you know, like, we are human beings. I wrote this at the time, like, I am me and you are you, but we are similar. And like, what do we have eyes, and but these eyes we share with dogs also. Dogs have eyes too, and we share it with fishes, we share it with goats, we share it with everything. So we are one, we all have eyes. So we are unique in that sense, but every one of us have our own expression. Our own expression of how we return to Allah, or how we return to God, or we find meaning in this world, you know. And what I have come to appreciate is that every single individual has their own expression of this divine love, or this finding Allah, you know. And I saw on your Facebook you have this band, like, you have this band, you just released a song called Hal. It's just tell us about it, you know, like, well, what was going through your mind, and how you. And I just have to put one thing also, like, most people, not from the culture, not from where you come from, not from where you have walked on, the experience you experience, they will probably look at this situation and go like, like, ni like salah bawa. Right. How you come to terms with that? You know, like, how do you How do you make sense of all of that, you know?
It was very, very conflicting. Macam, I only began after I started macam trying to learn about Islam and reading and meeting people and all. It was only then I started to get lots of inspiration and I started to write a lot. And then like you know how you said macam people will think what you're doing is wrong. So it was very conflicting and up till now it is still conflicting. Like the hardest thing for me to get in sync with is my intention. You know, whether I want to be there on stage, you know, macam getting this energy from people and recognition and you know, or not. So or is it something more? But you know, the inspiration keeps coming, and you know, I do istikhara and things like that. It's constant lah. So whatever people want to say, you know, it's up to them. You know, we all you know we can disagree. You know, if you don't like it, it's
your prerogative.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel this is what's meant for me lah. And you know, when I watch bands on stage, you know, they control the audience and things like that. I do not want to be in that, you know, situation. It's scary. Macam just to imagine how you're going to be questioned after that. Right? Because everybody's in a state of macam intoxication in the crowd. So I don't want to be. I know that I do not want that. When I look at it, it gives me fear. And you know, like I told you, I'm actually very, very camera shy. So I do not like that macam being in that spot. So honestly, discussing with myself, knowing that that's not what I want, it's not something that I'm comfortable or will be pleased with, gives me a sense of macam confidence to do. That this is not, I'm not doing this
because I want
purely
it
for my nafs. Macam it really does feel you know, what I meant, where I meant to be, like what I meant to do. And there's a great pleasure like actually in like writing music. So when I'm in such a state, I'm in a state of great satisfaction actually, redha. So you know, if people want to say things,
and who are people to deny that of you, you know?
Yeah,
that's one of those craziest things.
A lot. They all have. Everybody, I mean, yeah, they all
their
have much more knowledge than me, lah.
Yeah, their fatwas is probably like that.
Yeah, but you know, I feel what I feel, and you know, I seek advice, and there are people whose knowledge I have no doubt in, that you know, give me encouragement. Yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody I respect very much, and he was telling me a story of Yusuf Islam and how this man came to him and said, you know, my daughter loves Michael Jackson. So Yusuf Islam was like, okay, why Michael Jackson? Because people like you stop singing. So it egged me on lah, macam the people who I was with, where I was from, everybody's kind of looking for something.
Yeah.
One of the things that made me sure about Islam, because I didn't just go back straight to Islam. I looked at other things. I looked at, you know, ideologies. I looked at other religions. I tried, you know, meditation, Buddhist kind of meditation and things like that. But Islam was so complete in the sense that, you know, it had a spiritual aspect, and it had a very physical aspect. You know, politically it is so sound. There is no system that I can find that is as sound as the way of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And when you try to constrict it, then you'll chase people away lah.
Yeah.
So, you know, inshallah every day I do istikhara, and I hope that he does not misguide me. And you know, so what I do, I don't have confidence in myself, I have confidence in Allah.
Yeah.
So I do what I do. Inshallah, this is what He means for me to do.
Yeah. And and I also, you know, one thing that helped me a lot, like doing this whole thing also, is because I realized that, you know, I realized that you like, for you is this music part, you know. For me it's different, and for thousands, millions of every individual in this world, they are facing the same thing.
Yeah.
And what is so beautiful about this whole thing is that like whoever you are, you know, like remember I was remembering Syams Yusof was speaking about this, like whoever you are, wherever you are. Maulana Rumi said this, you know, come, you know, this deen is a avenue of love, you know. And I don't think this is spoken enough, you know. This expression, this understanding, this human part of it, you know, this it's as though like the rigidness of rituals hide it from it, but it's necessary. These rituals that we do, this praying 5 times a day, this praying the Sharia is so crucial to make sure that we because the human being is an animal, you know. If we are allowed to do whatever we want, we become probably like that guy who had to give head in the prison just because he wanted a secret, you know. But because the deen is supposed to honor man, you know, to give honor to that human being, that you can't be like that, but you must find your expression within this realm, and it's such a wide expression, and it's so huge, you know. And every human being has an avenue in that, you know. Whoever you are, you know, wherever you come from, whichever situation you are in, hip hop ke, like R&B ke, reggae ke, or like jiwang or whatever it is, you know, you have your avenue of expression in it, and it's so beautiful. Like some people might, even in photography, for example, you know, they have the avenue to find that godliness in this, you know, in this life, and it's possible. It's not impossible, and you don't have to be like, you know, what I would share with you is like, even though coming from such a, I would say, an extreme background, like at current position that where we're in, I for me, like when I look back when I was younger, I could never imagine being there again. I could never imagine being having the same perspective, wearing the same clothes, you know. Not because I dislike it, but because it's like
it's not the right time.
It's not the right time. Yeah, not time anymore, you know. But coming from such a background and be able to arrive to where we are, Alhamdulillah, by His mercy, you tend to reflect like anything is possible, you know. You know, if anything is possible, man.
Apa ni, it is the deen of fitrah, kan. So apa ni, adhering to the laws and all, maybe we don't understand, but it is necessary so that you're in tune with nature lah. And I think when you're in tune with nature, with the nature that God imbibed in us, you are more actually it is more likely you will be able to express that unique creation that God has meant for you in the way He has meant for you lah. Apa ni, you know, like I was saying like how yesterday we were talking and this friend of mine said that God is the director and it's like we're all the actors. And at the end of the day, macam all that matters is how happy you were with your role. So not everybody's meant to be not everybody's meant to, you know, be a musician or a politician or whatever lah, but it all goes back to being happy with the nature that God has meant for you. Which is a challenge that we have today lah. I mean, when you come, you know, just now you spoke about homosexuality, you know, macam it's something that I think about a lot, because to say that I'm against homosexuality, you know, I always ask myself, what if one day my children were to become, you know, so that would I disown them or whatever, and I wouldn't want to do that. You know, I still want to macam embrace them and you know, still acknowledge them as my children. But you know, the fact that the other whole doesn't self-lubricate is a sign of its unnaturalness lah. So apa ni, we live in a very confusing time where nature in itself is just, it has just become so confusing.
Sure.
There's something, I think, does it revolve around the mind only? Like macam it's just what you can just be whatever you want to be without recognition of nature lah, which to me is what the Sharia revolves around.
And you speak about homosexuality, it's previously I would like just you know, one clear skate, cut it away. But when I think about it hard, and I looked at a lot of how it's actually expressed today, I connected a lot with the idea of beingness.
Being,
your being. And if you are not in tune with your being, your natural fitrah state, and the environment does not allow that to happen, to allow that to bring that out of you, that is an inevitable situation. And so like for me, like being a father, like yourself also, like I have a daughter and a son, and I given the current situation where we see, like, you know, homosexuality is something that is so prevalent today. And what was so scary, what was shocking to me was one day I was going back home, and I saw primary school kids under my block. They were talking about this girl. She was saying, I think I like this girl lah.
A girl was saying it.
Yeah. And they were talking about sexual things in the primary school. And I was just looking at myself like, what was I doing when I was primary school? What was I concerned about when I was primary school? You know, and it was definitely not this. You know, 100% sure I was not like thinking about my sexuality was one, or thinking about having sexual relationships with another person, boy or girl, you know, at that point of time. And I realized one major part of it was exposure. The environment. The environment really allows them, made them think about things at not the right appointed time. Like they are not ready. The kids are not ready to. I mean, they haven't even figured out like what is that. I mean, like even scientifically, like the frontal cortex, you know, is not developed until you're 21. And if you expose these children, 6 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, to concepts like this of sexuality and stuff like that, and the society itself demands from them that they have to they have to decide now at what 12 years old what sex I want to be. It's impossible. It doesn't make sense at all. And that's why, I mean, one of the problems of the homosexual community is that they never tell you the amount of people who regret going for sex change. They never tell you this story.
I see.
But there's so many people who are in a state of regret. Like I was tricked, I was duped into believing this, you know, to believing this whole thing. And it was the environment, and the environment did not allow them to fully realize their manliness, and the environment did not allow them to fully realize their womanness, and so they tried to find meanings in other things. And maybe previous time they did not have an ability to express their individuality in another sex, because the ideas of sexual thing was quite straightforward. There's a man and there's a woman, so they express it in their own avenues. But today, when they can even when you have an avenue to say I identify as a boy, but I'm actually a girl, and that is okay. That's crazy. You know, that's another level, because it shifts the person to believe they can be whoever I want. But it's not true. You can It's not true. I cannot be whoever I want. I'm this color. I cannot say I'm black. I cannot say I'm a negro. You're wrong. I cannot say I'm a white guy.
A horse,
I can't be, exactly. I can't be anything I want. I'm this. And how do I find meaning in this? If you're talking about homosexuality as an expression of desire, okay, I accept that. I mean, I understand that. People go through that. I mean, men and men, we love each other. I love my teachers and my friends, my family members so much who are guys. And it's not a problem of love. We love each other. We can have a manly love, you know. But why do you have to sexualize it? You know?
I don't know, but when I think about especially our region, the Southeast Asia, there's always been a tradition of, you know, the bapuk. In Thailand lah, in that one. So if it's a modern, I mean, there's no doubt that modern society, you know,
amplifies it.
But it's always been there. And I do not know many, but every homosexual that I've met or who has homosexual tendencies has been through some sort of sexual abuse in the past. So apa ni, and you know, when you're talking about being introduced to sexuality, I was introduced to porn when I was like 11, and I was with my brother who was 9, and my other brother who was 6. We were with our friends, you know, macam this apa ni, this evil guy gave it to one of the girls in there. I wanted to prepare her lah,
Yeah.
and then we all watched it together. Without the Gamia, and it screwed with our minds the rest of our lives. You know, when I speak to my brothers about it, all of us macam know how much that
Affected you.
So I think it's things like this where I think we have to macam, you know, the role of a man we have to go roll with the times lah. There's so many women that I know, or people I know, who have been sexually abused in one point of time or another, and we have to be there, I think, to protect them from this lah. And you know, like the feminist movement, you know, I think it's necessary also, but they have to realign themselves to what's right. Like things like porn and all, it screw up the society big time.
For sure.
I think macam homosexuality.
And you see, one thing also connect to homosexuality, just sorry to share with you. Our modern society, the current situation we're in, we can't do many things. This is a fact.
Yeah.
The laws and avenues of the state that we are in, I mean, not just about Singapore, entire world.
Yeah.
Your expressions are limited.
Yeah.
You cannot do so many things, but they let you do whatever you want with your body,
Yeah.
to sexualize whatever you want. And that is the only, if you think about it, the only, you can't express anything if you don't think like democracy is the right way to do it. For example, democracy is not the right way. You can't do it.
Yeah.
There's no way you can do it. You cannot do anything out of the system.
Yeah.
So the only avenue they allow you to express yourself is sexually.
You can't even take drugs, huh?
Yeah, you can't take drugs. Even you can't do anything you want. But you, if you wanna have sex with a horse maybe you got problem lah. Some places no. But if you have sex with another man, anything, do whatever you want as long you don't hurt anybody. You know, these ideas, you know, and because of that, because of the development of society and its ideal society, this is it. That we have been restricted to only be able to express yourself physically, uniquely, individually in the sexual arena.
Yeah, it's one of the ways lah.
Yeah.
And you can go back to art and all that. I mean, it's never been so easy to make art also, I think. You know, but even then also,
but it's the most real, you see. Like I can feel satisfaction now. Like art, who expresses it?
yeah. But then again, you see, I don't have. I mean, I have to really macam tailor my time in order to find some time throughout the week ever to work on my craft.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the modern society makes me work like 15 hours a day.
Yes.
So we don't really have that opportunity lah to, you know, express ourselves in these manners lah. That's when I think about modern society, I think it's very, very tailored to corruption lah. And to me, corruption is anything that is unnatural. But when I look at the homosexual, there's no hatred, there is no. Honestly, there is sympathy,
Yeah.
because like I told you, the people that I met have all been through some sort of trauma.
Yeah.
So I think those of us that are seeking this manliness have to really put it in ourselves to protect our women and our children. That's all we have to do, and it changes. You know, last time to be manly, we can go out on our horses and, you know, defend ourselves. Now I think to be manly means to stay at home, to keep the family together, to
have the courage to say no sometimes.
and that's right. The problem with men nowadays, I think, is the boyishness is the thing that has replaced manliness. Everybody's still trying to retain this boyishness. Everybody still wants to hang out and play games, and you know. So there is that what do you call that
Initiation.
Bukan, there is a
barrier.
Yes, there's a barrier from becoming a man. Like everybody still wants to collect like toys and comics and stuff like that. So we have to rethink like what it means to be a man in this era.
Yeah.
Macam like I was thinking, I was just fantasizing, like if I had the opportunity, macam, you know, if I were paid like $5 million, okay, they say, Ariff, you go and tour Europe with your band, after that next 6 months you'll be at home, you'll record and that kind of thing. I wouldn't take it because I'd be away from my family for so long. I wouldn't be able to be the man that they need. So yeah, we have to re-question what it means to be a man today. What kind of examples we're going to show our children, and how we're going to protect our women from being being turned into prey lah. Because we all have this predatorial punya instinct and
and I think it's also for the woman to discover womanhood also. Like when I look at my family, my wife, and I see their struggle, for me, I see my struggle of my cousins, my family members. I see the struggle is real, man. The struggle is real. And how do we as a community of people give meaning to something which to discover this thing which is already inside of us. It's inside of us. It just needs an avenue to come out. And what is so important for us to discover, like this entire thing is why I'm doing this, is for us to realize that there's so many ways that we can discover it. And all you need to do is leap. All you need to is just jump.
But that's what the transsexuals do. They also just leap and jump and then they regret later lah. We're in a very very confusing punya time. So I think to just leap is also scary. We have to.
I mean, you have to rationalize it properly lah. You cannot just like some people who they just do. I think this is why the akal is so important. You have to come to a certain formulated reasoning that is in line and stuff like that. But also, of course, it is true. They also have their own rationale. But then we have to talk about what is true rationale. It has to be aligned with nature lah. If you connect it back to the Sharia and stuff, that it has to be aligned with nature. And then you will truly discover if it's aligned with nature, there will be no contradiction, there will be no friction, and it will go on smoothly. Would you agree? Something like that?
Yes. I think the proof of something's truth is harmony lah. When you're in a state of disharmony is when, and disharmony doesn't mean conflict within the self. I think that is when you grow. Also, you're supposed to feel some sort of. It's amazing that we don't feel the pain when our bones grow and things like that.
Interesting, huh?
But we should be, when you're growing, mentally and all, you would be going through conflict. But the harmony should be, I think, manifest around you.
And also I want to just drive this point across. You don't have to this change or finding meaning or you protecting your family and all these ideas does not mean you are counter society or you are out of the society. You are in the society and you make the best of your society. And you are not. And really, if you ask me on this, this, if you can put a person, any person, you can put a person who is free in Nazi Germany. You can put a person who is free in France, Egypt. You can put a person who is free in any society you choose in human history. He will be the same person, and he will find his freedom in that society. And it changes. And this thing that we are talking about, this religion of Islam, the Prophet Muhammad SAW, is this person who have culminated the entire expression of human society, and he has formulated into and he has given us the boundaries. And his actions are the best manifestations you can ever do, right? And that is what we desire to be, right? And what he did in his sunnah is that expression of the best of humanity, and that's our yardstick, right? That's our yardstick. And so freedom is achievable even it was in Mecca in 1400 years ago. That same freedom is achievable today, but of course not in the same degree as he achieved it, of course, but
the same level of struggle is there.
It's not. It doesn't change.
I always felt that God is fair. Macam wherever you're born, sometimes we feel like we're in a society where the temptations are so drastic. And then you look at somebody who's in a very Islamic city, like in Fez or in Medina or Mecca, but then everybody has the same, I think, intensity of challenge or that one. Like imagine growing up in Medina, where what for us in society here, I think
The wow,
is to be a banker lah, or a celebrity or something like that. Whereas if you're there, the thing is to be a scholar. So the sincere path to scholarship is going to be very hard. Because you might want that admiration and things like that. And if you're in a war zone, you think that stuff is terrible lah for them. But the mercy upon them is also
different.
Real, as real as it is to us. They know where they're going, they know what they have to fight for. It's clear.
It's clearer for them lah. You put it in that sense. For us, it's so unclear. You have to like, and it's because it's so unclear. You have to like dig it out. I remember I was reading Imam Darqawi. Imam Darqawi had this one story in Letters of the Darqawi Way, and so one day he was going for Jummah, and he was wearing the best clothes, wearing the turban, beautiful stuff that he went to the mosque. And so he sat down and he took off his turban, he put it on the floor. And when he did that, suddenly it came to his mind, like, how dare you put the crown of the Prophet ﷺ on the floor? How dare you dishonor the Prophet ﷺ? How dare you do this? Look at what the people might think of the Prophet ﷺ. All these things like this comes. All of these things, he was just rumbling in his head. And you know what he said? I found you.
Shaitan.
It's enough. He found him. I was waiting for you. and that is the man who is in tune. He is in tune. He is in tune with himself. He knew exactly, and every moment was an opportunity to uplift himself. Uplift himself all the moment. And my Sheikh Omar, he said on the day of regret, on the day of Akhirah, it will be called the day of regret. And he asked me, why Mubarak? And I said, I know, Sheikh, I don't know. And he said, because on that day, Allah will show you every single moment of your life. He will flash in front of your eyes. And he'll show you how he was this close to you. If only he had more sabr. If only he had more love. If you only had more gratitude. If only. He flashed in front of your eyes all the if only. From the greatest of walis to the most dreadful of men. Everybody will cry. Because they will regret. Like even these moments, like this. How do we capture the moments?
Make
the most of this. And this is the human struggle lah. And it's beautiful, and yet it's so scary at the same time. And this is life, This is life, This is, and what is important lah, I feel, like the idea of, like you were saying about guilt just now, right? Like when I look back at my life now, like I'm sure you will feel the same way also. When I look back at my life now, look back all the things I've done, all the mistakes I've done, all the sins I've done, and now that I've been able to understand in this portion, there's much more. Whatever I believe I feel is just like just a dot in this ocean of vastness of Allah's greatness, And all of that things that I went through was necessary for me to appreciate this moment. And why should I be guilty about that then? That was necessary for me to be free. It was necessary for me to feel, to put in that situation for me to be who I am today. And then you get perplexed. Like what is going on here? Right? What you think?
All that? I think there's a lot of truth to that lah. Macam when you're talking about this guilt and all that. And I as you're saying this, I'm thinking macam, okay, in my life there's really not much that I feel guilty about. There are things that when I think about, I say, like Allah, please like, erase this from my memory. But these are few things lah, and they are really bad things lah. But for the most part, all those years of ignorance and arrogance, I feel thankful for, because it led to the right question. It led to me meeting the most beautiful of people and
that for us to have this conversation also.
That's right. It opened the way for, inshallah, for Iman to enter lah.
And I think what a way to end the podcast end the session for us to realize that, you know, like whatever background you might come from, you know, whatever environment that you're in, whatever situation you might be in, however difficult your situation is, if you are sincere, just for one moment, you know, that sincerity, and you keep like, you have to say Allah, God, you know, because there might be people from different religions who might listen to this, you know, and they want to find happiness in this world, you know, they want to find true understandings in this world, true meanings in this world, and we just attach ourselves to that sincerity, somehow or another you open the door.
Sincerity is the hardest thing to achieve, actually, in truth. But yeah, like the mystery of sincerity, I think, is if the answer is found, you find God, huh?
Yeah, and it's tauhid, right? Surat Ikhlas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it is tauhid, you know.
The you know that song that you saw that I posted. It's called Khalas. Yeah, but
Yeah, share a bit about that.
I mean the whole song goes on about, you know, how we are being broken down from, like how I mentioned, the nation, the tribe, and the family, to the individual, and how we can only we can defeat the tyrant when we realize oneness. And I had no idea what to call the song for very long, for more than a year, but I came across, I decided on Khalas, because to me, like, that's it lah, Khalas lah. Once you know one already, is Khalas, and it's related to, I'm no linguist, but I'm sure Khalas and Ikhlas are related lah, from the same root word or something like that lah. So yeah, Ikhlas lah. Sincerity is such a high punya station, but I think that's what we have to strive for lah, and I think that's what you're doing this for lah.
Yeah.
Really trying to.
Inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. And finally we had our cup of coffee.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? That's like, I just like, you know how we were like, ever I was coupled, I say, okay fine, let's have a cup of coffee and really like talk, you know. And it was all preparedness, you know, to be prepared, you know.
Yeah.
And they had to go through the expression, you know. Probably back then, if we were to meet,
It would have been very different.
it would be very different, you
That was
know.
like that was macam like the first, like the second, third month into macam rediscovering Islam. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be very different,
It would
and
have
it won't, and that preparedness is necessary,
Yeah.
You know, I need to like taste the sweetness of that preparedness is so important. And I remember, like, you know, like, yeah, no, let's not go into that lah. But yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
some we can cut later and let's just carry on.
Like, you know, there's what this. I remember reading one of the sheikhs. He said like, he said don't rush with the Quran, you know, and why he said that, because you have to be prepared for it, you know. And this idea of and also this is also one thing which I realized, that when people join tariqahs or become spiritual,
When you settle down.
they want to be this high level straight away. They think they join in this group, they do the zikir and stuff like that. Pop, they go up that level of self realization. But it's not that, man.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
It's a
every day.
struggle, you know. It's a struggle, and if you don't, if the path does not lead you to internal struggles all the time, instead it keeps you in a state of self gratification, and I think we miss the point.
Shaitan has his tricks, man.
Yeah.
Shaitan has his tricks.
Yeah,
No matter where you are. Imagine even on our shuyukh.
yeah,
Imagine the challenges that they have to go through, man, being in so many people in awe with them,
Yep.
and finance and
Yeah.
things like that. It's such a struggle, and you're right, if you're not, the true path is to be on guard,
Yeah.
to realize that this is a war zone.
yeah. It's a war zone, and it can come to whoever it is, man.
Yeah.
Like, who are we to say, like, the guy who at his current juncture of his life labels himself as Salafi, example, and he is having this inward struggle all the time, you know. And we are happy. I'm sitting down, I'm drinking my coffee, I have my zikr last night, my biryani, you know, I send the beautiful mauluds, you know, and stuff like that. I'm feeling good, man. I'm on the right akidah, you know. But this guy, he is struggling.
Yeah.
I believe that his experience is also real.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, at this kind of point of time, that being in having experienced many groups and experience like the the good sides and the bad sides of group mentality, group think, and also the brotherhood, love for each other. And you see, I also experience like desire of power, you know, I want recognition, and experiencing all of that, and then you and then the idea of elitism, you know, like I am in this elite group, everyone else, my tariqah is the best tariqah, you know, for everything, you know. Having that mindset inside of me, and always alhamdulillah, Allah always made me like not really like it lah.
You would realize soon after.
Like it's of course like at one point of time I tried to make sense of it, like justification, like no, it's true, but somehow or another Allah takes it out, you know. And it lies on that, and then this kind of situation allows me to look at everybody, every human being, with love.
I'm not sure if it's Sheikh Ibn Atta'illah who said this, but I remember hearing it at one of the classes of his books, where it goes something along the lines that there are as many paths to Allah as the sons of Adam. So macam, you know, everybody is going through this tariqah lah in their own, you know,
for sure.
In their one, they were bearing witness in their own unique way. You know, I remember when we started out, the back and forth, it was about you making a comment on the skinheads.
Skinheads.
And then I quoted Surah Al-Kahf, which I had no macam, you know, I had no understanding of. But, I mean, I was taking it at face value. But when you know, you look back at that and chuckle. But I was rethinking about my stance then also. And when I read that, to me is you don't judge a person lah. And it made me remember, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a killing in Medina. A man killed a child, with a bottle or something like that, and it turned out to be a Sunni Shia hate crime lah. So there was, I saw it on Facebook, and people were, you know, talking about this, the dangers of extremism and things like that. So I just commented and said, sounds like he did it to me. Because that's exactly what happened, you know, macam. So I mean, when it comes, judgment is we should always be on guard on judging something.
And it's so beautiful, you know. If you look at the world, knowing that for you personally, like I am sincere doing this, and you look at another person, you know, for example lah, you are as sincere as you can be lah.
But that's a very scary.
I know, of course. But yes, at this current point of time, this current moment, you try yourself best. This is your best expression of your sincerity lah. Because of your weaknesses, you know, we ask husnul zon of Allah, like that. Husnul zon billah, you know, like we have good opinion of God, of Allah, that based on my weakness and my incapacities, my stupidity, my everything that is bad of me, that this is the best I can do, you know. And this is now like this, you know. And when you look at it like that, and you look at other people also having that kind of things, that kind of action, they also want to do that. They are also going through that struggle. How can you have a bad opinion of them?
Exactly.
You can't. Because you know you're facing it.
That's right.
Right. You can't. You know, you can't think people have a bad opinion. You can't. They are doing that also. And when you and if someone tells you you're wrong, imagine that perspective. And you believe this man is doing the very level best he can do at this moment. And he's telling you, stop it, don't do this. If you go like, what the hell are you talking about? Or can't say that to me, you have lost it.
You ask for guidance and then you reject it.
You have to. And imagine the men of Allah, the true men of Allah, they desire these moments, man. They want people to point out their faults, to show them the way all the time. I remember this one story. Sheikh Murtada, he was sharing about Zuhud. So this man, he came, he was with his fuqara travelling, and then they came to a city, and then this one small boy said to him, Sheikh, tell me what is Zuhud. Back then I'll probably say, what the hell this boy is doing there talking to the Sheikh, he got no adab, asking him about shuyukh, you know. But because we say, oh no lah, this is a story about shuyukh, don't talk action all that. But I think like the fact that he could do that means it's necessary. Means you should do that. It's not like he's bad adab or anything like. He's not a special boy. He's any boy. You know, he should be able to have the courage in himself to ask the man of Allah these kind of questions. What is shuyukh? And the Sheikh says, the Sheikh said, Zuhud is to, when you don't have, you say Alhamdulillah. And then the boy said to him, that is the zuhud of dogs. The dogs of my city. That's not zuhud. And the sheikh said, then you tell me what is zuhud. MashaAllah, you tell me what is zuhud. He says zuhud is when you don't have, you say Alhamdulillah. And when you have, you prefer others to have it. Right? And that's like, whoa. And the sheikh, that is true. That is true. And that and if you look at that man, that man, that sheikh, example, and that boy. That boy was his sheikh, man.
At that point of time.
Yeah. That was his sheikh. He was showing them the way. He was pointing him up, because Allah is giving the entire creation as a sign. The entire is guiding us, to somewhere. And it sometimes, what is interesting, the person who gives us conflict within our hearts is our teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, like one of my example, like one of my teacher. I love him so much. Ustaz Noor Drus. Like he has said many things he said in his Facebook post that
controversial
and hit straight into my heart. Like I had to sit down and to think about it. Like I had to be honest because I love him. But my love of him is to just reflect on what he says, to give him that credit or due, to reflect. And when I reflect on it, it hit me so hard. Like I have to question myself. And alhamdulillah, because of his questioning, his intention, Allahu Alam, his intention, and I ask Allah to make it sincere.
Ameen.
It has taken out for me like understanding that I could never understand anymore. And something is like that. And the conflicts our teachers. So many things our teachers. How can we feel unease? It's so beautiful, man.
I think my journey in Islam is quite weird, because the first step that I took was tariqah, and I had no idea what tariqah was. I had macam like I told you, I was doing macam Buddhist meditation or that kind of thing, and so it was the first martial arts that I got involved in lah. It was a very they had a lot of
spiritual stuff lah.
Yeah. So this colleague of mine who's not really a practicing Muslim, suddenly he asked me, why don't you try the Islamic meditation? So I said, what's that? He said, zikir. And it just so happened that I had a friend who was embarking lah, so he gave me some stuff to do, and then I began to do it, and later, a few months later, he said, Ariff, the one that I gave you, the certain one, you cannot do anymore. You cannot do it because you need permission. So okay lah, I will stop doing that lah. So I stopped for like 2 weeks, but there was this strong desire to resume. So that's when I went to meet them lah, and he was just there, and then he just asked, you wanna take tariqah, you wanna do this thing, right? You gotta take tariqah, these are the conditions. So my journey was such, but because of that, I was so unprepared. For a long period of time, I thought it was a scam. I thought it was a cult. I thought it was macam, many times I thought it's about. Many times I thought this is the right way. Many times I thought this is wrong. Macam this, they just want to make money off of us, stuff like. But I had all this back and forth with the important people in Singapore, and even with the Sheikh himself. And they were always macam, especially the people in Singapore, there were many times and they said, sorry, we cannot answer you, because they never came to these macam questions before. But it was always scary for me to approach the Sheikh. But whenever I came to him, he would just macam slay the answer, and but even then I always had my suspicions. So it was a lot of ins and outs, until after a while I realized that what this made me do was that it made me go back to the source. That means it made me go back from the time of Rasulullah SAW, and how Sufism became what it is today lah. I had to go back through a history lesson on my own over those years to finally have the macam to finally say I understand why we do this. I understand its legitimacy and its importance. So
interesting. Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and I've said a lot of many
crazy stuff.
Yeah, blasphemous stuff lah. But they understand lah. So alhamdulillah. But it's not for everybody. It's not everybody. One of the most important things that one of the people in Singapore told me, he shared hadith lah. He said Rasulullah SAW said that this religion is the religion of old women. And then he started to explain lah, because old women are just they don't really question much, and they just macam there to serve. But then again, it's the religion of Imam Al-Ghazali.
Yeah.
who went through what he went through
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have to go into that, but
Yeah.
so it's for everybody
It's
lah.
for
Just
everybody,
because we go through this journey does not make us any better than the old
For sure.
woman who's
For
you know,
sure. For sure.
they have that certainty without even that one, that,
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And they have, and also I believe they have their own internal struggles in their own version.
betul.
Like one of my cousins, we had this. He was asking me, like I said in the previous podcast about being a cow. And I was one of the struggles that I had with myself. Like for example, when you talk about sustenance, like a job, money, and stuff like that, getting a job and all that kind of things. And I see people around me who are doing much in this dunya sense, well-to-do. They have a big house, a big car. They have to think about money. Now I have to think about money. I have to think about all this, And I look at it, and why do I feel like that about them? Why do I feel like I want to be like them? And then I realized I got envy. I have envy. Like I want what they want. And I said that was terrible, man. And that's so terrible. And I did not trust Allah. I realized that that what I go through, even the cleaner can go through.
Yeah.
The CEO of this big company, whoever they are, I finally realized they are all the same.
Yeah.
They are all experiencing life their own way. Doesn't matter who you are, what job you do, everything, whoever you are lah.
Yeah.
You can be a politician, you can be whoever you are. You are all actually the same.
Yeah.
You are experiencing life the same way I'm experiencing life. Your struggle is as real as my struggle.
We're all witnessing the same thing.
We are witnessing the same thing.
The one reality.
Yeah, and the only thing the difference between the person who realize it is the cow and the person lah.
Why the
So you can be a cow, you can be a herd, you can just be like a slave, like don't care about this entire world and just live your life like a like don't care about everything lah. Like just live life like this life, just live it as per normal. Don't care about anything, just live, And you are depressed, never mind lah, depressed. You are unhappy with your wife, never mind, happy with my wife. Just do whatever, you just keep it yourself and just be this depressed, sad, sorry person always complaining about the world lah. He can be that person, yeah. There will be a man who is sweeping the floor like that. There will be a politician who is doing this thing like that. There will be everybody. Everybody will bring the same thing. And there is another person.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that is whether you are in the job of realization or whether you are in the job of keeping quiet lah.
I think it's whether you are in the state of thankfulness or you are in the state of rejection.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, gratitude. And it's kufur also. To now I'm gratitude is kufur. Yeah. Subhanallah.
Anytime you are unhappy with your state is rejection.
Subhanallah. Yeah. It's mad, man. Yeah.
So Alhamdulillah,
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Ariff. I really.
It's a pleasure, man. Honor.
Yeah. It's been a wonderful journey, lah.
Yes.
And to share these wonderful journeys that people have, and then in hope that not because I don't care if people listen to it, this whole thing stuff like that, but
this is what it's all about.
man.
Even if it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
But and what am sure about, there will be somebody who is feeling the same thing as you are.
Yeah.
And to find that this is my feathers, man. This is my brothers of hearts, And it's so beautiful lah. Wherever they are, it's just so beautiful lah. And we are all in this together lah. This journey to find meaning, and that's why I named the podcast "Pursuit for Meaning." Like to find meaning in this world lah. And then when you find the meaning, you savor it, taste it and love it, and like Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah wa shukrillah. Thank you so much, brother.